This video is the fourth period of time. This is when the sun becomes a star. In my understanding of the Bible, the word day means period of time. And that's actually what the word means. If you look it up in the English dictionary, and it will tell you that it means a period of time. If you look it up in the Hebrew definition, it means also a period of time. And a 24-hour day is a period of time, but this is a day of creation. This is like I was around her in my day. It means a period, not 24 hours. This is when everything finally started to happen. The sun was a brown dwarf all these years during the creation, and it was about 80 times as large as Jupiter, and it could no longer hold its own weight. And pretty soon it collapsed under its own weight. Gravity collapsed it, and it had a solid core. And the solid core was probably a lot larger than the Earth. And when it did collapse and fusion set in at the core, it's just like a welder when he reaches a speck of dirt on his well. That dirt will explode and it'll shoot out into sparks, and that's what burns people around, and the welder sometimes. And so that's exactly what happened to the sun. It had a solid core, and when it reached fusion like a welding arc, the core exploded and shot out through all the inner planets and went on past the planets and went on out and to form the asteroid belt. But during this time, there's quite a few impacts hit the Earth, and the Earth's crust was not as thick as it is today. When the Earth's crust cracked, that's what formed our continents. This is an illustration I made of when the sun reached fusion and the asteroids shot out through the inner planets and created the asteroid belt. This took about 1,000,000 years for this to happen. This chart shows the time frame that geologists have found for asteroid impacts all over the Earth, and there's about 7 major impacts that happened, and one of them was worse than the ones that killed the dinosaurs. But there were a lot of smaller impacts too that happened over this 1,000,000-year period. And 1,000,000 years is not very long for the evolution of the universe and the Earth. But this is the ones that they've found so far. Now there might be a lot of others, but this is the major impacts that they found so far. This chart goes back to about 550 million years ago, or maybe 600 million years ago. And that's the time the ocean floor started to spread and the ocean floor started to form. So all this fits together with the growing Earth theory. And also prior to this, they didn't find any asteroid impacts. So that is about when they started, about 600 million years ago, and that's about the time the sun reached fusion and become a star. Now this is Pangea, folks. Science tries to make a Pangea a big Earth about the size the Earth is today, and they want Pangea to be an island in the middle of all that water around the Earth. But they don't realize that all the jagged edges on their large continent will fit together on a smaller ball. So this ball is about 1/3 the size of the Earth, and all the continents fit together. And you can see where all the cracks took place when the asteroids pounded the Earth, and the Earth's crust was a lot thinner then than it is today, and it just shattered the Earth. And that's how our continents formed. The mantle of the Earth had not formed in this period of time. The crust was resting on the outer core of the Earth, the iron core, and that's what lay beneath the surface of the Earth. in this period. Now the mantle of the earth had not formed during this period. This is the crust set on an iron core. It's the outer core of the earth, and there was no mantle underneath it. And the ring you see in front of the earth, that would be the ring that's going to make the mantle eventually. If you want to see a good animation of all this happening, look up Neil Adams on the internet, and he has all sorts of web pages, but you can find some on the Earth's animation of the Earth growing from this small Pangea to full size as it is today. Now this illustration shows the Earth, the mechanics of what happened, and the rings were pulled in to the 50-mile cracks that left by the asteroids, and the ocean water, well, the rings were mostly water, mostly hydrogen and oxygen, and all the solid elements too were also mixed in, like seawater, and a different form of seawater than it is today. It wasn't exactly the same seawater, but it had all the solid elements. So think of protoplanetary nebula as seawater, and it'll be easy to comprehend. And the seawater went down through the cracks into the iron core, and immediately exploded and turned to steam, and the hydrogen and oxygen shot back out through the cracks into the atmosphere. And this is all the way around the Earth now, not just in one spot. And so this atmosphere became a big ball of steam, and it was forcing the oxygen and hydrogen out past the Earth's gravity. The Earth wasn't that big, and the solid elements melted into the iron core, and the Earth grew from the inside to start forming the mantle. So it is a mantle, but it just started forming. As the solid elements melted into the core of the Earth grew larger from the inside, and as it grew from the inside, the cracks grew wider and the seafloor started to form. Following the explosion, when the sun reached fusion, and following all the asteroids, there was a big smoke ring of dust and ash that belched out from the sun through the inner planets, and it ended up around the Earth's orbit. Now it takes 365 days, as you know, for the Earth to rotate around the sun. So as it rotated through this cloud, it formed rings like Saturn, and the moon formed from these rings. And that fits with Genesis when it said he made two great lights, the greater to rule the day and the lesser to rule the night, and he made the stars also. Now it's a possibility that the moon is older than what I got here, but it wasn't a light yet, you know. It was just, if it was a moon, it was just a dark moon and no light. But in this period is when the sun reached fusion. The sun gave light on it, so that made two lights, the sun and the moon. But I'm thinking it formed during this time from the dust and the ash from the sun. But that's up for grabs. We'll find out later when the Grail satellite gets all of its info back and it's studied over and over and over. They'll know. Now if the moon formed from this smoke ring, this illustration would kind of cover it, and you can see the rings around the Earth, and so the moon would form from the rings like the moons of Saturn. So as the Earth grew from the last ring, the inside of the Earth grew larger, and that made the continents drift apart because the cracks grew wider and formed the seafloor. So as the seafloors grew wider, as the cracks grew wider and the Earth grew larger from the inside from this last ring, the Earth grew to its present day size and almost in 1 million years. The Earth actually just sucked up this last ring. As the Earth grew, it took on a different curve, and when it took on a different curve, those wrinkles came into the surface of the Earth, and that's what formed the mountains and the canyons. So after all the planetary nebula was used up and the planets formed from the nebula, and the sun grew also as the planets formed from the nebula, then the solar system was complete. There was nothing blocking the rays of the sun, and the sun could shine on the planets and give them the heat that it needed to make a real nice even temperature like we have today. So within 1 million years, the Earth just sucked up the last ring.